Logan, and welcome back, everybody, to another edition of the Rural Report. I am your Rural 2IC, and we're going to do kind of a quick little video where I have come up with 10 items that you might be overlooking to stockpile, maybe put in your bug out bag or anything along those lines. Some of these you might have. Some of you may have all of these or most of them, and then some of you may be very new to prepping and you don't have anything on this list. And so, uh, this video should at least come to a good amount of people. Let's put it that way. So let's just go ahead and jump right on in. And so, number one on the list is some sort of sewing kit. Now, some sort of clothing repair kit. It doesn't have to be anything fancy. We're not trying to do anything to impress anybody or do anything. You can usually buy the travel sewing kits that are, pretty good already, or you can build your own. Personally, for me, I like to find a thicker thread than a lot of those. A lot of those kits come, very, very cheaply. They're very thin thread and things like that. I like to actually go and buy usually just black, but it can be absolutely any color, right? It's SHTF. We're not trying to impress the boss or do anything along those lines. We're just trying to patch up some sort of clothing or maybe a tent or maybe something along those lines, some sort of cloth material. And so to have that ability and those tools, now remember, it's going to go on you. And so they do make various things that you may want to get as accessories just besides a sewing kit. Now, yeah, it would probably be a good idea to have some sort of small watertight thing, whether you take and put it in some sort of like a pill bottle or some sort of case or something along those lines. You don't want your needles to get bent, damaged, start rusting. You don't want to have your thread to, come to the elements and things like that. So you want to try and keep those as clean and ready as you possibly can. But you can start thinking of things like thimbles and different things along those lines. Spare needles, they have different devices now that help you thread the needle. So, if your eyesight's a little bad, or maybe you have trouble, threading needles as it is, they make all sorts of little fun gadgets that are pretty cheap that will help you thread a needle. And trust me, in an SHTF situation, you're not going to be able to run out to Walmart or any one of those Target or wherever and go buy a new pair of pants that you were gardening, you bent down and you ripped out a huge hole in them. You're going to probably have to patch those because you're probably not going to be able to just run down to the store and grab them. And if you don't have any sort of way to patch, you probably don't have any sort of way to make new ones. So it's a good idea to have that and probably have that in bulk. It's pretty cheap, it's lightweight, it's inexpensive, thing. So probably one to put on your list. Number two on the list is plastic sheeting. Now you can get this on all sorts of things, and they all have their pros and cons. You can go and get a pretty thick millimeter already on a roll, and you can do it that way. You can take and you can get things like the window film that's pre-cut into pretty big rectangles or squares. I kind of like those because it already comes with double-sided tape and things. It's kind of like a kit, uh, but you can get different plastics that are different thicknesses. Some of them are, see-through, more transparent. Other ones, you may not want them to. You may want black or something like that. You want to block out the light or block field of view or things like that. So, keep all that in mind. If that's one of the things that you don't have is plastic sheeting, or maybe you go, hey, all I have is clear sheeting. But that's a really good point, is to have some that is black or something like that, because maybe you won't put those over the windows. You don't have to cover it permanently. You can actually take and put it across the top. Take a staple gun or double-sided tape or whatever, put it across the top, roll it up during the day so that way you can get the sunlight and fresh air and things. And at night, you can roll it down and hide if you have a fire or things like that. People's not going to be able to see the light through it. So, moving on, number 3 is aluminum foil. Now, if most preppers, I would say, have aluminum foil, but there is some that I run into occasionally that have never thought about stockpiling aluminum foil. They come in all sorts of things. You can get them thin, thick. You can get them pre-cut into strips. You can get them on rolls. You can get big, small, name brand, cheap. You can get it all sorts of different ways, and they all again have their pluses and minuses and things like that. Uh, but it's one of the really good things to have. There's so many uses for aluminum foil that it's one of the things that it kind of throws me off when I ask people that are brand new to preparing. I run down through lists like I'm giving you now, and I will say things like aluminum foil, and they'll go, I think I might have part of a roll. And they're like, might part of a roll? Like you don't have, 10 of them. It's one of them things. So if you don't have it, it's probably a good idea to pick those up. Next on the list is going to be bicycle gear. And what I'm talking about is one, I would, even if you are not the type, and you don't do it now, is to get PPE. Have gloves, knee pads, elbow pads, helmets, things like that, because, what you do now is going to be different in an SHTF situation. I would rather be safer than sorry, right? You don't know the terrain, you don't know the conditions, things like that. So I would rather have it and not need it, sort of thing. That's kind of what the prepper mantra kind of is anyway. But that also goes into the things to keep your bicycle going. So things like a tube patch kit or a tire pump, chain lube, things like that. You can have a bicycle and maybe that is your bug out mode of transportation. But guess what? If something happens to it and you don't have a way to fix it or maintain it, it might be bad news. So just want to throw that out there. Now, kind of going semi along with that is going to be the people that have glasses. Now, if that's glasses that you need all the time, whether those are readers or maybe even just wearing a pair of sunglasses, you're going to want to have ways to be able to maintain them and repair them. So some sort of cleaning lens wipes or some sort of a cloth or something that is meant for those would probably be a good idea. I know most of us, you can just grab your shirt and things, but what is a dollar usually for something along those lines, and to have them, it's the correct tool for the job. It's cheap, it's lightweight, it takes up hardly no space. Why not have it, sort of thing? But to be able to repair them as well. You might have it to where they fall and you need to tighten up one of the earpieces, or you may need to tighten up where the lens goes in. Anything along those lines. Usually, the glasses repair kits are pretty inexpensive, especially if you pick up a couple of them. They might make really, really good barter items. Think about it. Things are only as valuable as somebody who needs it. And if you have a person that absolutely has to have glasses or they can't see and their glasses are broken, that field kit, that repair kit that you bought 2 years ago for $5 now is a really huge bargaining chip for that person that really, really needs that. And so it's one of them things. And guess what? If you SHTF never happens or you don't run across anybody who needs it, you have a backup. Okay, it's not that big of a deal. One thing I do want to throw in there is they do make field glasses, which is basically glasses with lenses that are adjustable. So, instead of going in and you're uh, 10 or 5 or whatever, you can actually take, and they have little knobs and you can adjust them. And so, you're probably not going to the eye doctor. And if we're talking about a long-term SHTF situation, maybe your eyes start to go or something along those lines, and to have field glasses already ready, it'd be a good thing for yourself. Or you might have somebody that relies on glasses. Maybe they break theirs, they lose theirs, and you can toss them this. Hey, This will get you by until we can figure something else out, right? So those are a little bit more expensive. Those I believe run between $20 and $30 for a decent one. So next one, and this one I'm again very surprised, kind of like the aluminum foil, is going to be a pencil or pen and paper. There's a lot of people that do not own pens, pencils, or have some sort of paper, notebook, loose, whatever, in their house, period. Everything's digital. You take and you pick up your phone, and that's how you do messages. That's how you leave notes. That's how you do all this. People don't have that old school stuff to where you can write down things. You can jot something down. You can do a diagram. You can make a map. You can do an inventory count. You can do a bunch of things without technology. So it might be a good time. Sometimes we think that just because that little cup on the end of your desk or whatever is full of pens, do they work? Have you went and tested them? How many of them actually don't work or are broken, or anything along those lines? Pencils, do you have a way to sharpen it? Do you have a pencil sharpener and things like that? Do you have the stuff needed to maintain these sort of things? Next on the list is going to be shoelaces. Now, yes, I know I'm a big proponent of paracord, and a lot of my boots, I rip the laces out and I put paracord in, but I keep the shoelaces or the bootlaces, okay? Having backup shoe, bootlaces, any of that stuff, one, it's excellent because most of us, we tie our shoes or our boots. And so to have a strap break, it might be one of them things that makes traveling very difficult and makes work very difficult, especially if you have a boot and it breaks to the point that you really can't tie it anymore. The weather changes and you're out in the mud. You're going to have a hard time trying to keep that boot on, or if you're on rocky stuff and your boot's not secure and around, you're prone to injury. You're prone to tripping and falling and things like that, all over what, a couple of dollars of shoelace. It's one of them ones. Uh, it's good to have a couple lying around. In a pinch, they can use for lashing and for everything else. You can do a lot with them. You probably should have some sort of length of paracord anyway that you can use in a pinch. But again, right tool for the job. Why not go ahead and have shoelaces and bootlaces? They're pretty cheap. They're lightweight. They're inexpensive. You can put them just about anywhere. Dangle them off something. Again, they might make a really good barter item. So next on the list is going to be the old fashioned wind up clock. We've switched over to digital with just about everything. All the alarm clocks and everything that just about everybody relies on is all digital. And if you have some sort of thing where the power grid goes out, or an EMP, or whatever you want to call it, it might be good to be able to keep track of time, to set an alarm, to be able to do different things around the time aspect, to where you have a wind up clock. The same thing, you can get the clocks, or not clocks, but the wristwatches that are wind up, that they don't take. They run off perpetual motion and things like that. You don't have a battery that you have to rely on. So those are good ideas and good things to think about. I see a bunch of preppers that go out and get these survival wristwatches, and they're great and all. If they work and you love them, great, that's awesome. But you might want to have something that is less prone to have failure when it comes to batteries. How are you going to keep that thing going if you have an EMP? Does it take out your wristwatch? How many batteries do you have? Do you have all the tools and everything necessary to keep that functioning and change it out and all the other stuff? So but moving on, next one, excuse me, is going to be glow sticks. Now, this one is probably going to be one that either you have or you don't have. And if you don't have, most people are going to say, I don't need that. Um, I would argue against it. They're very, very cheap. You can usually find them at a dollar store or something like that. And they're great to have it to where you can mark things. It's one that you can put up into different areas, so that way you can keep track of things. They're really good for all sorts of different things. I've seen people take and put on a string line. So that way you can see that if somebody hits the string, you can watch the light bob up and down as kind of like a deterrence or kind of like a security feature. You can have it to where it's just that little bit of a glow for nighttime stuff, or you can get them small to where you can use them on bobbers for fishing and different things like that. It's just that thing to where it does not require anything but itself. Batteries and all the flashlights and all of everything that there is. Sometimes it's one of them things that maybe you want to see down a well or down some sort of a shaft. uh, Crack a glow stick and drop it down in there. It's one of them things, you break it, it's going to glow until it doesn't. There's no reusing it, so crack it, drop it, you got your use out of it, walk away. You can forget about it. You don't have to worry about it anymore. And it's one of them things, I would argue that if you don't have it, you might look into it. There's a lot of things that you can do in glow sticks. Now, the last thing that I'm going to do in this video is going to say earplugs or some sort of ear protection. I want to stick with more of the internal. I know some people can't use those, and so you might have to get the external and the actual like ear muff style. But for those of us that can, the internal earplug. Now, this is important just because of firearm safety and loud noises. You might be doing some sort of construction, demolition, anything along those lines. Because again, you're not during an SHTF situation going to be able to go to the hearing doctor. And hearing is going to be very, very important sense to have during an SHTF situation. You want to be able to hear the things go around you so it can alert you to danger and changes and things like that in your environment. But it also can help you sleep at night. Now, why is that important? Because probably during SHTF, every little bump, noise, creak, twig snap, anything is probably going to jolt you out of your sleep for quite a while. And that's not going to make for very happy campers. And so, as long as you have some sort of maybe security, maybe you have a mag or anything like that, somebody standing watch, you can help block some of that out. You can hear with them, so somebody is going to be able to, scream and wake you up, but it'll block out all that nonsense, all that little stuff, to where during an SHTF situation, sleep is going to be very, very important. And so this might be one of the things to help you. Again, everything on this list: cheap, inexpensive, lightweight, easy to get. You can store them just about anywhere. You can pile them up. You can stock a bunch of these things. Most of this stuff you can probably get for $10 or less. You could probably take $100 and go through and hoard and stock up on a bunch of this stuff and be over and done with. Most of everything's a really good bartering item. But again, it's just ideas. It's not an inclusive list. It's going to be one of them things that it's just something for you to think about. So I hope that you got something out of this. I hope that maybe this helped you a little bit. Maybe got the old noodle working to where you're like, you know what? Some of those were good points. But let me know down in the comment section. Do you have any of this stuff? Do you have all of it? Is some of it nonsense? Is some of it really good ideas? Let me know what you think down in the comment section below. But with that, I hope you guys have an amazing day. I hope you have a blessed day. Stay tuned because there's more information to come. And with that, remain united because we're all prepping in this together.